Greetings and welcome to this brief introductory video about the Web App Assist and the Substance Use Resource Directory for South Africa. During this presentation, we're going to discuss the WHO Assist, look at the Web App Assist, and then discuss the Substance Use Service Directory for South Africa. So first, let's start by considering why we've chosen the Assist for this particular development. The World Health Organization Alcohol, Smoking and Substance Involvement Screening Test, or otherwise the WHO Assist, is part of the recommended package by WHO for provision of screening, brief intervention and referral to treatment. What's really neat about the Assist is it asks about recent substance use, so over the past 3 months, but then also assesses for lifetime use risks. Provides a comprehensive risk of substances that's long and also includes tobacco and alcohol. In addition, it then provides a level of risk for each substance that has been assessed. Helpfully, the second part of the tool provides information for brief intervention, right? And this involves the sharing of information and feedback about the risks and harms associated with each substance which has been elicited as being used at risky levels. This covers physical, medical, and psychological risks of regular substance use. Worth noting is that only 1 in 20 folks will screen at a level of risk that is high enough to warrant referral for onward assessment and specialized treatment. So what this means is that by and large, you'll be able to be providing an intervention and assistance for folks who might be at lower levels of risk before they progress to higher levels of risk that require specialized treatment. For some additional context, some of the challenges that we seek to address in South Africa is that we currently don't have a comprehensive epidemiological data for mental health and substance use. In addition to this, we don't have a way of mapping passively what the risk profile of our community is. So we don't have a comprehensive passive risk map for South Africa for substance use disorders. We also know in general that we have a limited funding and human resource capacity to immediately address these needs. Current strategies include limited indicators at health facilities. So we know if somebody's screened a client for substance use or for mental health, but we don't really know more following that. We don't know which substance, we don't know the level of risk, we don't know what intervention has been offered to the client. SAKENDU, which is run by the South African Medical Research Council, measures treatment demand data. So we know what sort of treatment demand there is. So we know when people reach centers for treatment, what their issues globally are, but we're not able to then have a clear indication of how this maps with the passive risk map for the community that they come from. Let's talk about the characteristics of the web app version of the Assist. So it's been developed by University of Cape Town. It is anonymized, so no personal identifying data are included in the general structure. Where a partner wants to do a specific project, like a research project in a specific population, this can be modified, but the tool in its standard form does not collect any identifying data. With each screening that's conducted, a random code is generated. Can be used on any device, from a smartphone to a tablet to a desktop. It's data light, barely uses any data, and it's automated, and as a result of the automation, actually eliminates training burden. We've put reduces training burden on the slide out of abundance of caution, but effectively eliminates training burden. Anybody can use this tool immediately. The screening report that's provided at the end, including the intervention recommendation, can then be screenshot or emailed, following which the email that's entered for the receipt of that report is not stored on the system. So we're not able to link the person who's received that report to the screening at all. So this QR code leads you to the tool, as does the URL at the top of the screen. So the tool can be accessed and used in a few ways. Ordinary members of the public, so myself, yourself, can go and screen ourselves. So that's the self-screen pathway. The benefit of this is it allows for us to self-administer and really have self-efficacy and ownership of our own well-being. The second option is for practitioners, so a medical doctor, a nurse, a social work practitioner in the field, who logs on using a practitioner profile and then does the screening. What's useful about this pathway is that if one practitioner uses the tool at one site and another practitioner uses it at another site, you can be sure that the process that's been followed is identical because of the automation of the tool. Where there are special projects, such as research projects, as we've had a few, the requirements here are modified as required. And so we won't go into detail about that here. But please don't hesitate to reach out to us if there's a specific project you'd like to work on, and we can see how we can accommodate your needs. On the landing page of the screening tool, once you've passed through the consenting section, you'll discover that the landing page requires the entry of a date of birth. Now, the reason that this is the case is because we have developed all versions of the assist. So there's the version for the adult, the version for child and adolescent, so the version that covers both the age groups of 10 to 14 and the age groups of 15 to 17. These versions are fairly similar, with some questions differing to ensure age appropriateness. So by entering the date of birth, the tool is able to automatically select the correct version of the assist. So the practitioner or the person completing the tool doesn't have to do that themselves. So that's the reason that we request the date of birth at the beginning of the screen. This is followed by some general demographics. This allows us to really be able to interact with the data richly and understand it a bit better. The start page for the screening is identical to the World Health Organization Assist paper version, includes a list of all of the groups of substances which will be assessed. What's helpful with the automated version of the assist, so this web app assist, is that the substances where the individual has said no, they have not had a relationship with that substance, that will then fall off, therefore reducing the likelihood of human error. You'll see on the next slide how this is represented graphically. So as you can see on this slide, the client would have said the only substances they've been exposed to are alcohol, cannabis, and amphetamine type substances. So the other substances that would not apply to this client would have fallen away. What you're seeing here is a summary screen that follows the answering of all of the questions that precede this. So you'll see that in this case, this client had a score of 38 for alcohol, which means they were high risk, requiring more intensive assessment and treatment. Whereas for cannabis and for amphetamine type stimulants, they scored at a moderate score of 13 and 25 respectively. So what you then do is if you click View Report, the more detailed version of this report then follows, as you'll see on the next screen. This detailed report, first of all, summarizes the risk scores which were shown in the previous screen, but then goes further to provide the details for the brief intervention component. Remember, we spoke about those physical, those psychological, and psychosocial impacts. So those are all listed here, aligned with the level of risk for each substance. Should you then want to send yourself a copy of this, you're able to then click at the bottom of the screen, as you'll see there, and enter the email address that this report must go to. And when that happens, the email looks as it does on the right of the screen in front of you. Alternatively, you can just do a screenshot. Again, to remind you, you'll see that there's a random code that's generated. That's the only identifier here, and it is not linked to anyone's identity. So we're not able to link this to anyone's identity. We mentioned that self-screening and practitioner screening are going to be the primary ways in which this tool is used. So in terms of self-screen, should there be public health engagement, as has been the case already with our Department of Social Development at the National Office, there can be QR codes that members of the public can scan to screen themselves, can be used in social media campaigns, in healthcare waiting areas. In terms of the practitioner screening, these can be incorporated at public facilities as well as during the development of training materials and care SOPs, as well as within healthcare provision areas. Another alternative which has been discussed with some policymaker partners is having strategically placed self-screening devices at public health facilities or at mobile public health units. These images depict the executive launch of the tool, which took place on the 29th of May 2023 with Minister Lindiwe Zulu and the Vice Chancellor, Prof Reddy, as well as the Faculty of Health Sciences Dean, Prof Lionel Green Thompson at University of Cape Town. For a recording of this, you can go to the QR code with the YouTube link sign in the middle, and again, to access the Assist tool is the QR code at the top. An important question is, where does the Assist go next? So it's important to link the Assist activities with the broader SA data strategy. Remember, we're talking about mapping the risk profile across the country. So it has to be integrated within the data strategies for social development, for South African National AIDS Council, SAMRC through Sekendo and other projects, Stats SA and Central Drug Authority priorities. A reasonable question to ask is, okay, now that I've discovered that I need further assessment or some assistance, or the person that I'm assessing requires further assessment or assistance, what next? So that's why we've developed the Substance Use Disorder Service Directory for South Africa in collaboration with the National Department of Social Development. This allows you to have a sense of what services are around you, and you can do this by typing an address, simply zooming in on the map, and then or allowing the map to determine where you are. And then it shows you which services are around you, what specific specialized services they might offer, and how to reach out to them. So go ahead and play around with it, see what resources are in which province, because you can play around and see facilities from across the country. It's accessed through the QR code or by going to sudservices.uct.ac.za. So I hope you found this useful. This is how to reach us. Take care.